Good day to you. I'm Mr. Argentum, and today we'll have a short one. Today we'll be talking about Baromagnes deck profile. Now Baromagnes is a really decent deck, especially in set 3 and set 4, and I'm having a lot of success with this deck at my locals. Therefore, in today's video, I would like to showcase to you all my take on the Baromagnes deck. Do take note, this is not a full deck analysis that will be coming up soon. This is just a short deck profile, just for you all to get an idea of how this deck works. So without further ado, let us begin. We will very quickly go through the deck. For our right line, we are going for the Baromagnes right line because it gives us 6 souls and you want to get up to 15 souls as soon as possible. As for grade 3s, we are running 3 Baromagnes because Persona right is very important. The plus 10k to the front row helps our first 2 attack push for some numbers, especially when we don't have Brainwash, Swirler or any of our beaters. Then we are running 4 copies of Pandemonium Tactics, the best soul charger of this deck. Just a counterblast 1 soul charge 4 helps us to get to 15 soul. Then we're also running 4 copies of Curtis. So it's a soul charge 2 on a body, so we are running him, and 13k is a magic number. For our flex slot, we are running 1 copy of Rapture. So Rapture is just additional copies of our Brainwash, Swirler and additional beater. She puts a card from our hand into our soul, helps us to pseudo soul charge, and she gives plus 10k to the front row. As for grade 2s, we are running 4 copies of Selfish Engraver, because Selfish Engraver is a counter charger. You can loop her with Baromagnes skill, so you have a lot of counter charge, and if your opponent lets her hit, she helps us soul charge too. Then we are also running 4 copies of Chagra. So Chagra helps us hit for higher numbers, but the main point is he gets cards from our soul. So if you need a soul charger, Chagra. You need a beater, Chagra. You need a perfect guard or over trigger in your soul, Chagra. So we're running 4 copies of him. Then we're also running 2 copies of Kinley Ludley. So Kinley Ludley is here because she's a beater and she stops us from decking out. For grade 1s, we are running 4 copies of Brainwash Swirler. So Brainwash Swirler is our Doreen clone. If you set up right, you can potentially get him up to 53,000 on your grade 3 turns. So that is just simply amazing. And it also incentivizes us to soul charge during the late game with our Curtis and Pandemonium Tactics because he'll become bigger when we soul charge. 4 copies of Perfect Guard, this is pretty self-explanatory. And for triggers, we are going ham with 7 draw triggers. Now the reason why we are running 7 draw triggers is because Baromagnes is a very piece-reliant deck. You need all of your pieces for him to work. So the 7 draws helps us to get there. And remember, Rapture and Chagra uses up cards from our hand. The additional way to replenish those cards in our hand is just great. Of course, we are running the Dark States over trigger over the generic one. This is because our side columns are already massive, especially using Brainwash Swirlers. We are running 4 criticals in this deck, not because they are criticals, but because they go to the soul. You can switch it up for the fronts if you want to, but I'm just sticking with the criticals just for the soul consistency. And last but not least, we are running 4 copies of Heal Trigger, very self-explanatory. You do not want to die to the random things. As my final thoughts, I do think that this is a relatively budget and strong deck, especially for someone who wants to get into Vanguard or Vanguard Overdress in general. So I highly recommend this deck to any of you who wants to try out the game. Now, before I end the video, please let me know if you guys like this shorter style of lecture or you guys prefer my longer, in-depth style of lecture. Please let me know in the comments and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye and take care.